Hello, you. I think it's time to share a new episode, and I'm laying here at the poolside by the beach where we live now in Spain. We just live here like for a few more weeks, and then we're off to Denmark to repack all our suitcases and our things, and then we are taking off to Bali. There's going to be a lot of content shared about that journey as well. I really want to let you in on the mindset, the difficulties, the decisions, all the worries, the excitement, and all that for this journey as well. But today I want to share a story about a healing process that I had recently. Because I see a lot of change both in myself and the way that I am moving in my awakening or my self-development, but also that is reflected out on how I see the whole world is changing in their conscious awakening. Where we once, like 5-10 years ago, it was such a big deal to see a therapist and to ask questions about ourselves, to want more for ourselves, to step out from the system, and in a general just living in a different timeline or just living a different life outside of the box. Where the last 10 years it's been an awakening, a collective awakening about, finding ourselves and asking ourselves, like, what do we want with our life? Who are we? And that is kind of a selfish first stage awakening of, oh my God, I have a right to choose my own life. Do I have the decision myself? Do I need, I need to set boundaries and I can ask for things? And that has to come from that has to awaken some kind of selfish ego awakening, oh, I'm an independent human and I have choices in my life. So now we're moving more into a higher self, I think, awakening, where we are more concerned about the collective and something outside of ourselves, or maybe even outside of ourselves or deeper within ourselves, a deeper connection, where we maybe start to understand that life means nothing if I'm alone. So how can I create and co-create life with people around me that are having the same values as me, that are in the same stage of their awakening as me? Not that there is any better or worse or faster or slower process, but just in a different stage, in a different experience of how awakening is happening and how we are seeing the world in a different light with different glasses. And for me, that has to do something like shifting from thinking to emotionally healing. And I've not done a lot of healing, both because I don't have some really dramatically huge traumatic things happening in my past, but also because I am very logical. So everything healing has happened through understanding, and it has been enough up until now. But what I experienced not long ago was just incredible. It was something really different, and I want to share this story with you now. So it's been difficult to co-live, and I've co-lived now with 2 different moms. And the first mom that I lived with, we have split and we're no longer living together, and obviously that has been extremely emotional and extremely difficult, because it's been exactly like a real relationship. and it's been as connecting and deep as a relationship emotionally. And I would say it is exactly like being in a normal relationship, just that we're not romantically involved. There's no intimacy, there's no sexual attraction, but it's still like making a house run, having two people with strong emotionally needs and to take care of each other, respect each other, make room for two different people and compromises and all of that. And it made sense. I'm really grateful for that experience. But at one point, I think we were done and our time was up, and we had both got what we needed to get out of that relationship. But a breakup, so it's like I felt as if it's two different worlds being together. So there's a physical world, and then there's a soul-led, energetic world. So one thing is that our souls and paths are drawn together, and we want to connect, and we can feel that there is something that we need to learn from each other energetically. And then there is a physical world that we need to also make happen at the same time. And the physical world was what was not functioning. It was not working out anymore with the changes and all that life threw at us and invited us to take on. It just went in two different directions. But that teared up the whole soul connection as well. And that really got broken, and ego came in and triggers came in, and it got really messy emotionally. Even though it's like easy to see that this makes sense, I can see that we should go in our two different directions. It's just really hard to wrap your emotions around a logical vision or perspective. It's like, yeah, but the soul is disconnected now, and there's something that is not right. So we had a time apart where we didn't talk much, and obviously it's been a huge other story for our children that has lived together and have had a shared sibling life. So it's been a grieving period for every one of us. And so for the following few months, we didn't have much contact, and we kind of just like took our time and healed. And I really needed time to just digest like what just happened. And we already had another mom, so we already lived with Lisbeth and her daughter. So it was also getting that up running at the same time as grieving over the first mom's relationship. I just got interrupted in this voice note that I was making for the podcast here. My phone died, and there was too many kids around me, so you won't know, but it's 3 days later. For you, you're still just sitting and listening, so just to explain that noises and backgrounds and my voice might be different, and that's why. But I really want to continue the story because I think it's really beautiful. So a few months later, I receive a message from her saying that I'm leaving the country, and as she understands, we are both very interested in clearing things up and leaving things in a good manner. And we are not friends, but there are too many emotions between us and too many difficulties and blocks and stuff active. So she was right. And something really interesting happened in that moment, because I am a logical type. I'm very much in my head, and it's really easy for me to control my emotions. So I'm trying to open up to my emotions. I'm trying to be more aware of my emotions, and I'm trying to allow more of my emotions to come up and get out, and for me to just let them flow. In that very moment, I received a message in the morning. My son is laying at the bed, and the other mom is in the living room. When I'm standing there with my phone in my hand, I get overwhelmed with emotions. Like, I want to cry. There is some kind of release, there's an explosion of emotions inside of me. And I remember very clearly that I had to decide what to do. I could have thrown the phone on the bed, gone to the bathroom, cleared my head, put other thoughts in my head, and the emotions would have been gone. And then I would be able to, after a few minutes, go out and then to the new mom just say like, oh, I got this message, totally not affected by the emotions itself. But this would be my old strategy. This is what my system by default will do. So I know that I had to, like in general, I have to allow more of these emotions to come up and be more, because this is what creates the flow. It's like there's an emotion, let me get it out, instead of letting my mind taking over and it stays in my body. So I keep on to the emotion and I rush out of the room and I just go into the arms of the woman that I live with. And I just start crying like a baby. And I know myself, like, I don't have to talk. I don't, like, for me to stay in that emotion and to really get it up and out, I have to be touched, or I have to receive care, feel safe. And then I'm just like, I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know why I'm so emotional. I have no explanation of all the emotions that I feel right now. But I do feel that there are many, and it's a good thing for me to just release them and get them out, and something magical and beautiful is happening right now. So I kind of like allow myself to get it all out, and then once I calm down a little bit, I'm like, okay, so what actually is happening, I felt a huge bonding, a healing happening in that moment, because she reached out to me. It means or meant that she was ready to move on. She was ready to move beyond our experience and our past emotions and our past life to meet. And that was such a relief and beautiful thing for me, because this is something that I wanted too. So I did feel that our souls reconnected in that moment. It was an invitation from her, and I felt it. I felt it deep in my cells. I felt it in my core. Next thing comes up that she's asking me, like, what do you want to meet? Do you want to meet, or what should we do next to clear things up and meet and talk? And I think, I don't even know, like back in the days, what I would have done. Like my default pattern would not even have wanted to deal with it. I would just run away and be like, oh, we're all good, no need to meet, really conflict avoiding. But I got a picture in my mind, and it was so beautiful. I got the picture that all what my soul really wanted was to just sit with her and hold hands. We would be alone, maybe in nature, and just sit across each other holding hands and just cry. That was all what I wanted. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to explain things. I didn't want us to agree on what has happened, or I didn't feel that it was necessary to even talk about the past. I felt that what my soul was craving was to reconnect with the soul beyond our human bodies, beyond this world, beyond our life, like our physical life. This was like a soul reconnection that we needed to have, because we're beautiful, pure human beings. We are white-hearted. We are clear, we're clean. and that part needed to be reconnected. And then our shell and our mind and our human experience on earth could disagree and could have had two different realities of what have happened. And beyond all the hurt and beyond all the misunderstandings and beyond all the confusion and frustration and all that, sits two souls with a beautiful journey and with a beautiful dream that we partly have managed to live. You know, like, I think we have conquered a big dream together. We managed to live together for 1.5 years, and I think back and we have so many amazing and beautiful and life remembering situations and experiences together. So many deep talks, and I know for myself that it's been a huge step in my life to be able to connect in that way with a different human. And that is just all I want to have in my heart. That is what I want to fill my heart with. It's like to meet and reconnect with that part of her where we have good intentions and where we want the best for each other, and where we just are neutral in our judgments, where there are no judgments, where there are no mind to disturb, no fear and no hurt, but just a pure heart that is love. That was what I wanted to connect with. And obviously, like, now I'm very quiet and very what is the word, like, I'm not emotional right now, but it's actually the first time that I managed to tell this story without crying, because I do get reconnected with that emotion that I felt the day that this came to me. And I think the healing happened in that exact moment, because once I had this feeling and I explained it to the mom that I live with now, and I was like really allowing myself to go into that room, even though it was scary, and the most vulnerable thing I could even think about was like her saying, yes, let's do it, and I was scared and I had all these emotions on the sideline. It just felt right. And in that moment, the healing happened. I could feel the shift in my whole system towards her and towards our story, and everything just released. And I think this is exactly the moment where you forgive. Do you remember, or have you ever heard about this, like, oh, you gotta forgive the people that have hurt you to release or to free yourself? But actually, I think a lot of us don't really understand it, or it's misunderstood, because it's like, why would I forgive someone that have hurt me? It's not okay. And by forgiving, I'm also kind of saying that I'm okay with it. But I think this is what's meant with it. It is like, I'm releasing our history. I'm releasing all the emotions, because I allow myself to connect with the human behind that did its best. And that is the healing process itself. Like, that is the ultimate we can to release these stories and everything, like, to a certain point. I'm not saying this is like my mom, for example, had a horrible upbringing, and which I actually should do a podcast about, but a horrible upbringing with a lot of sexual abuse from many people, and like, and that's not like a healing session where you just sit down and reconnect with the soul of that person. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But these light things, like small arguments, I think our ex-partners and stuff like that, it's like being able to reconnect after a huge conflict is where we can set ourselves free and truly in our core move on, truly in our core free ourselves to get back into our own space and own energy and be in full control again of ourselves and who we are and where we're going, and just have all our attention inwards. So that was the story that I wanted to share. And what happened was that we never met. We didn't have an agreement of what to do. She came up with a different idea that didn't feel aligned with me, so I refused that. And I guess she was refusing my ideas, so it just left like that. But truly, in my heart, the shift happened in that moment where I allowed myself to feel what would actually be the greatest for me, despite all the fear and anxiety that I felt around actually doing it and actually meeting and sit there and hold hands and allow all of these emotions and all the hurt and all the frustration that we have been through get vanished, because our love would be greater. So I guess God or the universe or the divine or whatever is guiding us through our timeline was satisfied with the work I did, so I didn't have to maybe meet and do it in real life, even though I think it would still be a little challenge. Maybe it will come later on in my life. We'll see, but I hope that you have maybe got inspired. Maybe it have made you think or reconsider some relationships that you have had in your life, where you could maybe do some work. And I think the most beautiful of it is that we don't necessarily need to be in contact with the person even. I think it's something we can get a long way internally, and yeah, just by imagining holding hands, imagining reconnecting, seeing behind everyone's actions and look into their heart and find that part that we're all born pure and clean and white. Yeah, I'm wishing you a beautiful day.